Hi guys, Samantha from Just My Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you what to do with our pansy cane leftovers. So this is the one that I made in the tutorial, but of course I had to practice a bit, so I have a few more scraps over here, as you can see. So I've got a bit over here. Takes a bit of practice to get these things right before I figure out how to do it properly. So I want to show you what to do with these scraps, as I usually play around with the scraps, but I usually don't switch on the camera, and so I come up with some really nice things and I can't show you it again. So first thing that you need to do is just make sure that you don't have things like this sticking around in it, because I think that's a little bit too bright. You just want the bits from the purple and then these little cane ends. So you first need to divide it up. You want nice big pieces like these that can be stretched and reduced. So you want cane ends and things. That is one section. Then you want the cane ends that you've sliced but you can't really reduce into anything. That's another section, which I have over here. Then the last one is all the bits and pieces. So these are like things like these little leftover bits of Skinner blends, shaved off pieces, and just bits and bobs. You can pop that into a bundle. So I'll do that with the other pile that I have over here, and then we can move on to the next step. Okay, so I've sorted that out. So I've got a pile of little scrap pieces. I'm going to put that off to the side. And these pieces are all of our little cane ends that can't be reduced. I'm going to put that off to the side for the moment, because we're going to do something a little different with these. The cane ends are actually the most valuable of the scraps in my opinion, because it means that you can create some really nice effects with them. So I'll just pop these off to the side. And the cane ends, you don't want something that's really distorted like that. That goes into the pieces that you can't really reduce like that. The cane ends are the ones where you don't have a lot of distortion, ones that you can kind of retain the image. And so we're going to start playing around with this. Okay, so first thing to do, you just want to flatten it out to flatten out this distortion on the one end. And then I'm just going to start squishing it together, because I want to reduce this and I want to make a Natasha bead from it. Now the nice thing about creating Natasha beads out of cane ends is that the Natasha bead actually takes on the kind of the personality of the cane end that you used. You'll be able to see that it was a flower cane and not just some bundle of scraps. So you're going to find that the Natasha beads made with cane ends are probably the best Natasha beads you can get. Okay, so I've reduced that down. Now I'm just going to start twisting a little bit. Just like this. And then just roll out a little bit and twist. Roll it out again. And twist. Okay. Then I'm just going to start bringing it back up again. There we are. Because we want to now bring it back up into a square, or a rectangle I guess. There we go. Okay, and now I'm just going to roll it so that we get out of that triangle form and into a somewhat round form, so that we can mould it into the correct shape that we want. Okay, and flatten out one side, flatten out the other side, and then I'll bring over my roller to help me with this. Just to help me mould it into the right shape. So you want to try and get these edges somewhat sharp. I'll use my fingers at first and then I'll use a roller. There we go. And I'm just going to use this piercing pin because it's smaller and so easier to handle than a large rolling pin with something this small. There we go. And now you want to let this rest. So I'm going to put that off to the side and we're going to turn these also into Natasha beads. Okay, so I've finished these 2 Natasha beads. Now you want to set them off to the side to cool so that they can set. Now we're going to do something else with the other flower, okay? We're going to make this kind of really compact, squished flower sort of effect. So you'll take your cane and just squish it down again to make sure that you flatten out that distorted area. And then reduce this down. And now this effect, all of them that I'm showing you, can be done with any cane you want. I'm just doing it with these ones, but any cane you have will take just fine to this. Okay, now I have a little bit of distorted end there, so I'm just going to chop that off and pop that to the side. So anything that you chop off of these ones will go into your other pile with just cane slices. Okay, and you want to reduce it quite a bit. And I'm just going to chop that and that end. Okay, then I want to trim this in half. Half again. And in half again. And one more time. Okay, and then just quickly wrap it up together like that. Okay, and there you go, put all those pretty flowers together. And just press on that side and then start reducing. And you can reduce it in a round shape or a square shape if you wish. You could even reduce it into a triangle if you had enough clay, and then you could turn that into a kaleidoscope if you wanted to. Okay, I've reduced that. Just go trim off these ends. That's what it looks like. Okay, and then I like to just quickly square it up so that when I use it, I can use it in square, use the slices as a square, and so I can fit them all together. There we go. Okay, so that's that one and that one. Okay, and by now these should be okay for us to slice. There we go. You can see that that has taken on the effect of the flower. Now I don't think that's going to make the most interesting Natasha, so I might keep them separate. You can keep these slices separate, of course. And so I'll just slice this again. And you can keep these slices just like that actually, and they make quite nice beads. Okay, so I'll just turn that on its side and gently stick it down to the tile. And then gently shave off the surface. So you can decide if you want it as a Natasha bead or if you want to use it like this. So you could roll that out and take out a bead in that. Put that off to the side quickly. And then we'll slice this one, see what it looks like, see if we want to keep it as a Natasha or not. No, I think I'll also slice this one. It has to be a really nice Natasha for me to keep it. There we go. See, it's quite pretty. There's that other one. I'll slice this one too. There we go. Okay, so we've got those pieces that we can use. So I'll just pop these off to the side quickly. Okay, now we've got some pieces over here that I want to do something with. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna just gently squish down these ends. I'm just going to square it up quickly so that I can reduce it. Just like this. And now, because we have used so little black in here, if anything went wrong and you didn't like how it turned out, you could always mix this up to create quite a nice purple colour. Okay, so that's the one. Do the same with this one. Okay. Now I'm just going to, let's see. I think I'll use this little strip that we have here. And I'm gonna just gently roll this up into a jelly roll shape. So I'm just messing around here and seeing what happens. And it creates some really nice effects, and other ones don't turn out as well, and then those I just turn into some leftover clay. Okay. I'm going to just reduce that. Just trim off these ends here. You can see what it looks like in there. Okay, now I want to reduce it until I can cut maybe around 3 out of here. This I'm going to just mould into the right shape that I want. There we go. Now I want to just decide which side I want. I want this side. Okay. Take this, reduce it down. Just trim off the ends. Then I'll cut out however many I can. There we go. And then I want to lay them on the inside here. Okay, I want them all kind of to be facing in the same direction. There we go. Put that off to the side there, we'll use that in something else. Okay. Then place that together like that, and then gently squish together to form it into one cane. Okay, and I'm just busy squish it all together so it becomes one piece of clay and not separate. And I use my roller for this because this is fairly large. Okay, bring over my blade, trim that up, and trim that up. Okay, now that's quite interesting, yes? So because you had a little bit of distortion here, it's going to differ on each side, but it looks fairly interesting. You could cut those up together and make a cane or a sheet out of that. So I'll put that off to the side. Okay, now I'm just going to grab these, see if I can separate them. There we go. I just want to get this little bit of scrap off of here. I'm just squishing this up. And I'll place it together like that. And then I'll do the same for these ones and pop them next to them. Okay, so I've bundled them all together like that. Now gently press that together. Just like that. Okay, then I'll bring over these pieces and I'll just kind of join them together. And then I'm just going to start squishing it to reduce it. Okay, and then I'll roll to reduce. Cut, cut. Okay. Now I need to reduce this to, so I can cut it in two. There we go. Cut that in half. There you can see it kind of looks like little mini flames. I'm just going to squish it down a bit. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to take this. I'm just going to reduce that down just a little bit more. And I'll cut out these segments. I'll place them in here, just like we did with the other one. And then we'll use my roller to just squish that together into a square. Okay, I'll just slice off these pieces. There we are, that's a different version. It's quite nice. So we got those two. It's a nice way to use up the leftovers. Okay, now I'm going to leave these canes in because they're quite nice, but these I'm just going to bundle off into the others because I want to now make a leftover kaleidoscope. So I'm just going to be moving these out of the way, and I'm just going to be bringing you forward a little bit. Okay, now I want to take these pieces and we want to start dividing it into darks and lights. So I've cut these to the darks, and then we've got a light there. And things like this where you can't divide it, just keep those together like that. This one you could divide into dark and light, and I'll just continue doing that with all of the little cane ends like this. Okay, so I've divided it up. So I've got all of the kind of cane end pieces that I can't really separate into dark and light over here. I've got the light bits that I could sort out in here. So those two go there. So there's the light bits. These are the dark bits I could separate out. These are all the little bits and pieces. And then I also have some of the orange stuff that we have left. Okay. So what we need to do now is we just need to bundle all of these up into balls. Okay, so I've rolled each one into a cylinder. So here's my little orange bits. This is the one where we had all of the cane ends and things, so it's got little bits of orange in here. This is the light mix. This is the dark mix, and this is all the bits and pieces, and just bits and pieces really. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to pop them all together like that. Okay, then what you want to do is you want to roll this flat, and you want to put this through your pasta machine, lengthening each one of these cylinders. So you'll put them together just like this and roll them flat, and then you'll run it through the pasta machine from this end to that end. Okay, so I've stretched it out quite a bit and run it through on my thinnest setting. I'm just going to trim up these edges, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it into strips, and you want these strips to be about the same size or width as each other. Okay, so I'll just cut a few to show you what I'm doing. And I'm going to take these and I'm going to pop them on top of each other. But what I'm going to do is I'm kind of going to stagger them. So I'm not going to have them all sitting all aligned. Some of them will be further up, some of them will be further down, so that we get a little bit of variation. Okay, now when you're making this, it's important not to blend your colours or anything. You just roll out your cylinders, pop them together, and then pop it through the pasta machine and roll it out until it is thin. Don't fold it over or anything like that. Okay, so I'll continue doing that until I've used up my entire sheet. Okay, so here is our piece. So now what you want to do is just gently press in these ends, because you don't want them hanging out. Okay, and then you need to start reducing this. So the thicker you make these pieces, the easier it will be to reduce, but the less pieces you're going to be able to cut out. So it's up to you how thick you make it, however thin you can withstand, but I usually make mine maybe about 1.5 centimeters thick. So now I'm just going to start reducing it into a rectangle, and this could take a little while. And then once we've done that, we can move on to creating a few things from it. So I'll just roll the top here to flatten it out a little bit, get rid of any distortion bits or uneven bits that we might have, and then I can start reducing. Okay, so I've reduced it. Now we need to turn it into a triangle. So I'm just going to take this orange side and I'm going to pinch this into a point. And then I'll continue pinching it until it's in a point, and then I'll go to the other corners and turn them into points as well. It's like this. Okay, and then when I've done this, we'll be able to cut it in 6 and turn it into a kaleidoscope. Okay, so then you just want to trim up these distorted ends. And then you want to cut it in half. And I just want to figure out how many of these I'm going to need. 6. It's always best to just make sure of this sort of stuff. Okay. Then you want to pop them together. Like so. Okay. And I'm just going to join each of these, make each of these halves nice and compact before I join them together. There we go. It's one half. Do the same for this one, because it'll just make putting them together a bit easier. There we go. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time working out which, there we go, that side's the correct side. Okay, we'll pop them together. Pinch off that corner, and then we can start to roll on each of these flat sides to condense it together and to just neaten it up. And also to reduce it a bit, I guess. Okay. Now I'll take that and slice it, show you what it looks like. That's one end. And this is the end. And that looks quite nice. It's got that little orange star in the middle. I'd want to reduce this a bit more, but I'll do that in a little while. Okay, so then you're going to have these little bits left over, and this basically I turn into leftover clay, And so what you could do if you wanted to make it one solid colour, you would chop off this orange bit, mix it all together, and then you would have a solid colour. But I like to use this leftover clay to create texture stamps, shape templates. I like to use it to bulk out my beads whenever I need to pop my beads together and I need a filling. So this I'll just mix up together and use as leftover clay. Okay, so I hope that was helpful to you and it has shown you what you can do with your leftover clay. So hopefully it's given you some ideas so that you will now be able to use your leftover clay. And so here are some canes that we made. And I'll just chop this end so that I can show you what it looks like. There we go. And this one too. So it's nice and flush and you'll be able to see. Here we are. So those are the canes that we made. And then we also have these nice little strips that came from our Natasha bead that I just decided that these looked better. And so this is what I like to do with my leftovers. I like to sit for maybe an hour or so and just muck around and see what I can come up with. So I do hope that was helpful to you, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.